DDG3240, designing with type. Boy, are we just cruising along with typography. I bet you didn't realize when you started this class that by week 6 we still would be using type only for our solutions, using letters, numbers, and symbols to create everything from coffee mugs to flowers, to bank ads, and really exploring the art of typography. It's easy to pick a picture for a design solution. It's much harder to match that picture up with a font that's effective and accurate and consistent. We've explored everything from kerning to leading. We've learned about type anatomy. I mean, we are just cruising along in the world of typography. So let's go over here to coursework and see what we have for week 6 for the world of typography. Alright, so let's go in first and take a look at the mini project. So we're going to go ahead and click on that, and this is the little 45-minute project. We are creating an advertisement for a particular font or typeset. You have to use Illustrator. It's black and white only. You can choose any font you want, but you're selling that typeface. So this is a mini advertisement selling the typeface. It can be any format you want or any size you want, but it should make sense. So maybe it's a 8x8 inch square, maybe it's a 4x6 square, maybe it's a 3x7 portrait, maybe it's a 5x7 landscape. The format should be dictated by the typeface you select. So if your typeface is very square in nature, then maybe you should think about using a square ad format. If your font is very elongated, you might want to think about a landscape. If your font is very condensed, you might want to think about a portrait. A few things that you have to highlight in your advertisement is the attributes of the font that make it special. Remember type anatomy, things like has large swashes, it's a serif typeface, it has very narrow or tight kerning, or it needs plenty of leading space because the font is hard to read when it's condensed. You want to talk about things like its many uses, like it's good for wedding invitations, it's a great font to advertise rock concerts, it's a good font for restaurant use, maybe it's a good font for billboards or signage. You might want to say things like what it works well with. Century Gothic works very well with Times New Roman. The price of your font is $29.99. And you'll be graded on the creativity, the execution, handing it in this week on time, and done to specs. And of course, aesthetically pleasing. See how you use leading, kerning, visual hierarchy. Think of our bank ads, but with a lot less details. So the things you need is to pick the format, the size of the ad, you need the price, you need what font it works well with, you need to talk about its many uses, what you can use the font for, and you need to talk about type anatomy or the attributes that make the font special. So that's our mini project. That should be about a 45-minute or so, maybe an hour project for you. And then our homework, which is our bigger project, is our animal project. So let's go in here and let's open up our Word document and take a look at what the description of the personal animal project is. This is one of the ones I really love because it gets you now taking letters and numbers and symbols and really start pushing the envelope a little bit. So your format is 8.5 by 11. You can use any program you wish, but I've seen the most success using either InDesign or Illustrator. I tend to lean towards Illustrator. Black and white only, no grayscale, no color, and you can only use one font. Now, based on a photograph of your choosing, find a photograph of a person or an animal, create the likeness of this person or animal using the font of your choice. Honor the typeface, which means no squishing or distorting. You can use scale, change in scale, you can rotate it, change the direction, you can outline, you can reverse the logo, flip it. In order to create an interesting design. You can't use lines, you can't use shapes, and you can't use any clip art. When you bring the photograph into, let's say, Illustrator, a really good thing to do is to make the picture as big as the 8.5 by 11 document. Go ahead and change the opacity to 20 or 30% so it's a watermark. Go ahead and lock that layer and put a layer on top of it, and then start typing black and white letters or black letters, and start changing the scale and rotating and flipping them and lining them up to the positioning in the portrait or the animal that makes sense to create that shape. I've gotten everything from giraffes to monkeys. I got John Lennon one time. I've gotten Elvis. I've gotten lions. It's a really fun project. It's amazing how you can create the general gist of an animal, an eagle, a turtle, by using the shape of the animal and then creating letters and numbers and symbols to follow those shapes. So you can tackle it in a silhouette style where you're filling that shape. I think John did a great job with one of the early projects of making sunglasses out of letters, numbers, and symbols. Think along that line, but think animals or people. You'd be amazed how accurately you can get a person using letters, numbers, and symbols if you use a photograph and you start changing the scale and proportion of them and placing them in places to create the elements. John Lennon was a great one because he has round glasses. So the round glasses and the facial features became much easier because there were distinguishable characteristics to the portrait. So have fun with this. This is a little bit longer project. This will probably take you a few hours to create, but you should have fun doing it. These projects are ones in your portfolio that really draw the attention of the employer. Every graduate I've ever had that has showcased a typography solution like this in their portfolio has gotten really positive and interesting reaction to it. People don't think of type as something that can create things like animals and people. But if you do a Google search of typography portraits, you will see all kinds of amazing solutions. I think the MTV or the Grammys one year did artist portraits using words. And I can remember a picture, I think it was like Lauryn Hill, and it was an amazing portrait of Lauryn Hill just using words and lyrics and letters. And so the sky's the limit. Creativity is at your fingertips. So let's see what you come up with. Have a great week 6. We're keeping on, and we'll be critiquing soon. Okay, bye.